Hello, everyone. Welcome, and welcome to those of you following us on Facebook Live to another event of the Portuguese Beyond Borders Institute, PBBI, from Fresno State. We are happy to put this session together, hopefully one of several that we can put throughout the calendar year with information for, in this case, future students, future Bulldogs. Welcome to all of you. Those of you following us here in the webinar, please send any questions that you have. Those of you on Facebook, you can do that as well because our academic counselor will be making a presentation. I'll be able to follow along both of those screens as much as I can. So if you're following us on Facebook, please tag your friends if they're thinking about Fresno State, whether they're freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or seniors in high school. It's never too early to start talking about college and as a matter of fact, junior high as well. And for those of you, so tag your friends and ask any questions, and we'll be more than happy to pass them along to our invitees. We have with us academic counselor Ashley Fagundes, who's been here on another event that PBBI and the California Portuguese-American Coalition put forth, a much different event. This time we're asking everyone to take a break from the political world, which is kind of hard with everything that's going on, but take a break and let's follow some of the great advice that Ashley is going to have for our students. We're proud of all of her work at Fresno State. Ashley, good evening to you.
Hi, good evening and good evening, everybody. As Denise mentioned, my name is Ashley Fagundes. I am an academic counselor at Fresno State. I've been there a little over 7 years and also completed my undergraduate and my graduate program there. So
you're a bulldog all the way.
Many years at Fresno State.
And Ashley, describe a little bit, if you don't mind, before we go into the presentation. And I should also mention that we have here, and she'll be talking a little bit later, the president, as many of you can see, the president of the Fresno State Portuguese Club, Jasmine Rocha. Hello, Jasmine.
Hello.
Nice to have you, and hopefully we'll have another student join us as well. Ashley, do you mind telling us a little bit about what is an academic counselor at Fresno State? I mean, what is an academic counselor and what is your role with the students?
Sure. So there's a lot of different variations of academic counseling. At Fresno State, our main role is to assist students in selecting the right major for them, meeting graduation requirements in regards to courses to take, other opportunities such as internships, part-time jobs, things that are going to basically help, hopefully secure employment after graduation. We also serve to help students kind of more holistically. We go beyond just, prescribing them with classes, but we also help them with time management skills or making sure they understand the different policies at Fresno State, what their rights are. Also about campus resources. Fresno State is a very large campus, which we'll talk about. It's easy to kind of feel a little bit lost sometimes. So just making them feel part of the team. My main role is to work with undeclared students or students who are undecided on their major, to actually help them figure out what major path might be the best fit for them. So that's my kind of main focus. But again, there's different types of academic counseling within every college at Fresno State and other support services as well.
And do you, when you're working with students to help them, obviously, find their pathway, into a successful graduation, and then of course into the career world after that, or doing graduate work, etc. Do you find, I know you've been there, quite a few years now, as you've said, do you find that students are a little bit more undecided, or just about the percentages about what it's always been? The students go to, in other words, the students go to university already knowing I'm going to be this and that. And of course, a lot of people change their major once, twice, sometimes even 3 times, or are students a little bit more undecided? What have you found as trends?
So I feel that students tend to think they know
Ah, right.
and then get a little exposure to, maybe a particular course and realize maybe it's not the best fit for them. Or sometimes also there's sometimes some misguidance from society about, a particular job, and they assume you need a certain major to do that job. Just, educating them on that. I think what happens mostly is students are declared a major, but they're really still researching their options. So they're not officially undeclared on paper. We kind of say they're in like a ghost major because, they may be declared biology on paper, but they're really interested in business or something like that. Um, I was always jealous of the people that knew what they wanted to do right out of high school. So um, that's why I love this population, because I changed my major 6 times in my undergrad. So I
Wow, I
can
think
like
you may have a
truly
record.
relate.
Well, but you found the right calling because you do great work. And so I'm going to share the PowerPoint. Is that okay? Or
Yeah, I can share it if that
you can
works.
share
I
it there.
made
You're
a
as
slight
co-host, so you can
change.
share it as well. That way you have a little bit more of a control of what you're going to do, and maybe we can
Perfect.
start talking a little bit about some of the different aspects that we're going to cover. And then again, as Ashley gets ready to talk about this presentation, I would encourage those of you following along to go ahead and put your questions through on the chat or the Q&A. And those of you following on Facebook, go ahead and just type in a question if you do. Especially if you're a parent, some parents may be following us on Facebook a little bit more. A few parents said that they were going to because they might be out and about. And so we'll be more than happy to pass those questions on to Ashley. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Is it showing okay?
It is. It's
Okay,
great.
awesome. So as I already introduced myself, Ashley Fagundes, that's my email address if anybody wants to reach out later on, if it's after this presentation, a week from now, a month from now. Questions always seem to come up. Don't hesitate to email me. Um, so I'm happy to help answer questions. If I don't know the answer, I will guide you in the right direction, as I learn something new every day, I feel like. So this presentation is geared a little general information about applying to Fresno State. I don't work in recruitment. I actually work with students who have already been admitted to the university. But just to go over some basics about applying to Fresno State so that you have that information and some good resources that are available online right now that people may not be aware about, since Fresno State's doing a lot of things virtually. You can't just walk onto campus and go meet with a recruitment advisor anymore. So wanted to share that with you, and then also share some existing things at Fresno State for students who are interested in coming, just to hopefully connect you with something that, if you do decide to come to Fresno State, will help make your experience enjoyable and make you feel like part of the Bulldog community. One thing I love about Fresno State is, I'm Portuguese, so I'm all about family and community. And I feel like Fresno State has that sense of belonging, and you really do get that kind of Bulldog pride. And so I think it's important to kind of share what things are available. I'm looking forward to the day where we get to be back on campus and kind of feel that buzz again. Okay, so let's see. So just a little bit about Fresno State. We are a large campus. We currently have over 25,000 students enrolled. This is a record high for Fresno State. So again, when we are on campus, it's almost like its own little city. So there, you don't really have to leave campus. Everything is there. And so it's easy to kind of feel lost in the shuffle, but that's what this is all about, is providing you with resources to help connect you to the campus and hopefully give you some success tips. Some kind of, highlights about Fresno State: we're ranked number 3 for public universities for graduation rate performance. So even someone like me that changed my major 6 times, I did graduate within a timely manner. And then also you can see we're number 7 for most transformative college for best public colleges in 2020. And then nationwide, we were ranked number 26 in the Washington Monthly. So just a few highlights about Fresno State. And for being a part of the Cal State system and a public university, those are very, very strong bragging rights. So we want to make those known. Some other things to maybe put you at ease: 65% of our students are first generation. So they're, the first in their family to go to college, which can be exciting, but it can also be scary. So I think it's important to point that out, that, somebody in your class, whether it's virtual or on campus, is probably feeling that same fear and excitement as you, if you are that first kind of trailblazer in your family to attend university. 60% of our undergraduate students receive federal Pell Grant. So the majority of our students are receiving financial aid. So that's something else that is nice, to kind of be able to walk away from school and hopefully not be in too much debt, which is a little, hopefully take some stress, off you or your family. If that's something that you're worried about, financial aid is available. We also have over 2,500 full-time faculty and staff. So again, just part of that big family that we have. It's interesting how big we are, yet how close-knit we are. I have students I talk to on the regular that, I even see them sometimes out and about pre-COVID. And so you do kind of become family, even though it is quite the large group. Something that can sometimes be a little confusing for people coming out of high school into college, or even if you're transferring from a community college. I myself went to community college and transferred, and this was something that I wasn't aware of. But Fresno State consists of 8 different colleges, which kind of sounds strange because you would think Fresno State is your college. But within the Fresno State University, there's 8 colleges. You can see them listed there: the Jordan College of Ag, College of Arts and Humanities, Craig School of Business, etc. And each of those colleges houses different majors based on their study of discipline. So this is just something I like students to know, because coming in as a freshman or even as a transfer student, and you'll hear faculty or staff, say, "What college are you in?" And my gut instinct would be to say Fresno State, but it actually depends on your major. So if you are an ag business major, you're part of the Jordan College. If you're a pre-health major, you're part of the College of Health and Human Services. So just to kind of plant that seed, if and when hopefully you join us at Fresno State, that won't be too foreign to you. We do have over 65 undergraduate programs offered. So you may want to start looking at what majors we offer and maybe narrowing that down, because when you do apply, that is an important factor, which I'm going to cover that next.
One quick question as we get to the next slide up. Jasmine, what college you belong to, or what college are you part of? Or are you part of?
I'm a part of Kerman School of Education.
Okay, that's right. You're being a teacher.
Yay, we need those.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Awesome. Okay, so couple of admission tips. So Fresno State is becoming a very impacted campus. So making sure that you apply on time is very important. To appeal a late application, it is possible, but it's challenging to get approved. So we're currently accepting applications for first-time freshmen for fall admission. as well as transfers for fall. The application deadline is a little bit different for this fall. It's normally closes on November 30th, but they've actually extended it to December 4th. So keep that in mind. You still have about a month to get that application. And you visit the Cal State Apply website, where it's all linked through our website as well. And you fill that out. For spring admission, we only admit transfer students. So if there are any transfer students out there, unfortunately, you missed admission for this coming spring. But if you're planning to apply for spring 2022, you apply during the month of August prior. So in August of 2021 is when you would apply for spring 2022. Again, these are always subject to change, just like anything else. One thing I wanted to show was for the fall admission, it is a little bit different this year. So I do recommend to review for fall 2021. Normally a 2.0 would kind of do it for CSUs, as if you're from a local feeder school. 2.5 is really the threshold now. So they are looking at your A through G courses in high school, taken basically the summer after your 9th grade through your summer after 11th grade. Those are the A through G courses that they're looking at. One thing I want to point out is when you apply, you do select 2 different majors. You select your primary major, so what is your top choice? And then they have you select a secondary major. These are very critical questions to answer, because the 2.5 is kind of the minimum to get in, but that's the minimum to get into Fresno State. Your major that you select may have a higher impaction GPA. They do list the impaction information on their website as well. So you can look and see different test scores and things like that. Same is true for transfer students. The university has an admission GPA, but your major of choice may have an impacted GPA. So just something I like to point out, because Fresno State is growing a lot, and so they're finding ways that we have to be a little bit more competitive. So when you select your major, please make sure you do select a primary and a secondary, but just be aware that when you get admitted, be sure to see what major you got admitted as, just to make sure we are the right place for you to be.
Actually, there's a question, if I can ask, because
Yeah.
it kind of instead of waiting to the end, is that okay with you?
Of course.
Okay, so there was a question on social media. Someone's following on social media. If you could explain a little bit more about impact, what does that exactly mean for students? So yeah, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So an impacted major basically just means they have, so the CSUs, obviously our mission as a whole is to serve our local communities. In order to do that, we want to make sure we have enough classes, enough resources, enough seats in the classroom. Even if it's virtual, it still means grading and all that stuff for faculty. So some majors have more students than they have seats available. And based on how many students graduate in that major each year, basically determines, how many more sections open up. So an impacted major basically just means it's a very, very popular major of choice. And so the university has to monitor how many people they're letting into those, because there's no point in over enrolling into a program if a student is never realistically going to be able to complete it. So that's what an impacted major means. So to kind of maintain what numbers they need, they have to put other criteria in place, like a higher GPA or something like that.
Okay. So if it's an impacted major, the GPA might change. That might be one of the criteria that's used.
Correct. Yes. And that's all available on the admissions website. So just something to look at, or sit down with your high school counselor or your community college transfer counselor. The other thing I was going to show as well, you can actually book an appointment online with our recruitment counselors. So on their website, they have this request an appointment tab, and based on whatever major you're interested in, you can click to schedule your appointment, and it will link you, and you'll be able to find an available day and time. So that is something that is new that they are doing because of working remotely. And I think that that is an amazing, amazing thing to take advantage of. So once you have your majors in mind, set up some appointments with someone from Fresno State that is kind of the expert in that. One last note about your major. As I mentioned previously, I obviously changed my major a few times. Not sure if Jasmine ever did that, but oh, see, I'm so jealous of you. Good for you. But you are allowed to change your major. So if you come in as one major and you decide you want to switch to another major, there may be criteria you have to meet in order to declare specific majors, but you are allowed to change your major. National statistics say that over 80% of university level students change their major at least once. And then I think it's like 60% is like 3 times. So it's okay. It's okay to change your major.
Sure, especially because, as you said, sometimes students or when you're in high school, you have, kind of a concept in your mind of what, this is going to be. And then you take a class and you said, oh my, I don't want to, this is not what I want to do, So that's what college is all about.
Exactly. Or sometimes in high school, you may not even be exposed to a subject that exists in college. So that's another, sometimes eye opener I see with students. But that's part of the fun of college, is figuring that stuff out.
Indeed.
This is kind of just like an FYI. So most people want to graduate college in 4 years. To do that, that means you need to take at least 15 units per semester. The average courses at Fresno State are 3 units. We do offer courses that are higher, but typically most courses are going to be 3 units. So that's about 5 courses a semester. The only reason that I point this out is because financial aid to be considered full-time is 12 units, but that's technically a 5-year plan. I was on a 6-year plan, so it's fine. There's no rush. But I know for some people, getting done in 4 years is important. So this all gets explained to you. If you do attend Fresno State, you would attend a new student orientation prior to your first semester. We explain all of this to you. But this is, one way to be successful and be done with your bachelor's degree in 4 years is to take at least 15 units a semester. So just a couple of things. I'm not going to go through all of these resources because that would take way too long, but I just want you to have a visual of all the resources available at Fresno State. The majority of these, in all honesty, are still available through COVID. The Bulldog Testing Center is not right now. That's where some faculty will have you go take their exams at that testing center. And then they also offer some like community based tests and things. But that is closed right now due to COVID. But the majority of these other ones are open to some extent. I think it's important to um, highlight, you know, a couple of them. The Career Development Center, amazing. They can help you find internships. They can help you find part-time jobs. They can help you build a resume, interview techniques. Um, they are doing everything virtually right now. I actually sat with one of my students and another career counselor, and I was so impressed with all the different things they have available. They have resources about, and once you graduate, who are the employers that hire in the Fresno area in that major, or in California in that major. So I know graduating from high school, you're probably not too worried about this yet. Transfer students, if you're listening and planning to come to Fresno State, I recommend you meet with Career Development Center right away. Like I said, they are a great resource. I have a saying that a bachelor's degree will get you an interview, but it's the experience that gets you the job. So experience can be volunteer, it can be an internship, it can be an independent study with a professor, it can be experience, knowing the right people, but you have to have something besides just the bachelor's degree. So I think it's important to keep those things in mind and know that the Career Development Center is a resource for current students and alumni. So if anybody's listening out there that's an alumni, they can help you too. And they are awesome. So a couple other things: financial aid and scholarships still available to assist students over the phone. Make sure you apply for financial aid. The application is available right now until March. So even if you think you won't qualify, it's free to apply. So, doesn't hurt to try. And if you need assistance, you can always call their office for help as well.
And there's
Or,
also, of course, different. Sometimes one doesn't know if all the scholarships are on there. You just think, well, I know what they are, or I've applied for this Fresno State scholarship. But there's some. Once in a while, I have this lovely story of a good friend of mine who has been graduated and actually is in retirement now because he's around my age. He's actually a couple of years older. But when he went to college, many moons ago in Southern California, he got the Native Alaskan scholarship, and at that time it was like $500. And $500, almost 40 or over 40 years ago, was a lot of money. It still is, but it was $500, and he applied, and he got it because no one else applied.
yep.
And they had to give the $500. He obviously was not Native Alaskan; he was Portuguese, but it was just one of those things that he applied, out of applying for it. I mean, because he said, he applied for all these things. He actually didn't even look much at it. He just applied and everything else, and he got a scholarship that probably wouldn't have got it for sure had he not applied, obviously. So I mean, that's kind of an anecdotal situation, but a lot of times there is money out there that sometimes people don't know about. Um, that you can apply again. For example, if I can just, for those of you who are Portuguese background, the Portuguese Central Valley Portuguese or Central California Portuguese Foundation out of Turlock. Okay, they give usually around $20,000 or so of scholarships every year, a lot of money, and you can apply. You can reapply. So in other words, if you get a scholarship from them for $500, you can reapply again your sophomore year. You can reapply again your junior year. You can reapply as I believe you can reapply 3 times, and you can reapply also as a graduate student. So just because you got, certain amount of scholarship from them, and there's other Portuguese organizations like that, doesn't mean the Luso-American Education Foundation is the same thing. I mean, you can reapply once you're in college for a Luso-American Education Foundation conference, scholarship, and you can even apply it for an internship or for graduate studies.
Yeah, and the good thing on Fresno State's financial aid and scholarships website, for Fresno State scholarships, there's hundreds, right? You have to fill out one application and one personal statement, and it goes to all the scholarships. So you don't fill out each individual one. So that to me is amazing.
Yeah,
um,
that's really good. Yes.
yeah, so they've tried to simplify it for students, which I think is nice. And yeah, it's sad when money goes unused. So yes, there is financial aid and scholarships available. So definitely take advantage of those things. And then another important thing too is just getting involved, even though we don't know if we'll be back on campus fully in the fall or not, if any of you are applying for fall. But student involvement does have this cool website. I hope it's not going to work, but you can go to Student Involvement's website and you can search for any club or any organization by keyword. So if you're interested in, um, you know, engineering, you type in engineering and it shows you all the clubs and organizations that are available. This is a great way to network, to get involved in, even if it's a club, maybe it's not academically related. Maybe you want to, play basketball for fun or something, right? Or you want to get together with people who like photography or hang out with other Portuguese background people. There's a Portuguese club on campus that Jasmine will speak to later, but there's pretty much a club for anything. But it's a great way to meet. Every club has a faculty or staff advisor and obviously other students, good volunteer opportunities. And so I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that. The student cupboard provides food, free food for students. We have a health and counseling center, so whether it's mental or physical health. So there's a lot of campus resources. And again, I just want parents to know, I want transfer students to know, freshmen to know. I don't expect you to remember all these resources, but just so that you know, because it can be scary to leave your high school. I was from a small town, so Fresno was big city to me. But I found my niche, and so I think that it gives parents peace of mind to know that there's a lot of these services available right on campus. I'm going to do a little plug here for Professor Lima really quick. So if you are interested to, looking at possible minors or different classes to take, this is something new that will be coming next fall. So if you are applying for next fall, the minor in Portuguese and Portuguese studies will be available. So Professor Borges, Professor Lima, they can all help you with that. But, a lot of these classes also fulfill other requirements. So while you're fulfilling some other graduation requirements, you can also, maybe represent your culture, your heritage, and earn an extra minor or something as well. So definitely wanted to plant this seed in case you're interested. I don't know if you want to add to that or not.
No. I'm glad that you're promoting Portuguese, and I'm sure Professor Inês Lima is glad as well. And just one thing to add, and it's great to see the minor in Portuguese studies coming through. It's wonderful. The just one when you were mentioning, Ashley, that a lot of the courses at Fresno State, and it just popped up here. are 3 units, and some are not, obviously. Some are just 1 unit, for different things, and some of them are a little bit more. But one thing to consider when you're taking the language class, and we hope it is Portuguese, obviously, but all beginning level and intermediate level language classes, as you can see there for Portuguese elementary Portuguese, they are 4 unit classes. So, you can take the Portuguese 1A and Portuguese 1B, and you can get 8 units instead of just getting 6. So that's, when you're looking at unit, the numbers, and trying to get to the 15, as you said, if you are indeed thinking about graduating in 4 years and you need to do the 15, there's a way to take a language class. And as I said, preferably Portuguese, obviously, but take a language class, because levels 1A and 1B are 4 units. And, that's almost like, that's 8. That's just a unit shy of 9 of 3 classes.
Yeah, sometimes it pays to be strategic. So, uh, and that's also, somebody in my position, that's what we would help you with too, and guide you towards things like this. I talk to students all the time and I tell them, hey, if you only took this one more class, you could have, a minor in sociology, or, sometimes you don't even realize how close you are to something, or a certain certificate or something. So, I always tell people, take advantage of college while you're in it. Education is the one thing that nobody can take away from you. So you want to make the most of it while you're here. And we hope you do that at Fresno State, but if not, that's okay. But we hope to do that. So almost done here. I want to be cognizant of time, but another success tip, once you are hopefully a Bulldog or elsewhere, get advising wherever you end up transferring to or starting as a first-time college freshman. Get advising. At Fresno State, we have faculty advisors. So those are professors that teach in your particular area of study. So if you're a sociology major, you have a faculty advisor who teaches in sociology. Those are very, very important connections to make. They're great if you need letters of recommendation, or maybe you're looking for an internship, or you want suggestions on, particular major courses to take. So definitely want to connect with a faculty advisor in your college. Every college assigns them differently. Every major kind of does it different. So it's hard for me to tell you, who you might be assigned to, but I promise they're out there. Professional staff advisors like myself, every college has an advising center with advisors like myself to help you with course selection, exploring majors, making sure you're meeting graduation requirements, developing a roadmap for you if you want to be done in 4 years, 5 years, whatever it may be. And then, like I mentioned, our career advisors and all the things that they can help you with. I highly encourage you to visit their website. On here in this very top, they have this Fresno State Majors Job Outlook. You can click on here if you aren't sure what major you want to do, and these will list all of our majors, and they will tell you, like I'll just pick anthropology because I'm on this one. Tells you different job titles that graduates of Fresno State have obtained. So they pull surveys from alumni, and these are recent. So this is an outlook over the next 8 years or so. But different job titles that anthropology majors are currently working in. It gives you salaries, Fresno County, California, and nationwide. And then at the very end, it will show you different employers that have hired anthropology graduates from Fresno State. So that to me is a pretty cool resource. Not sure if it's well known or not that it's available, but I think it's super important. So something just, I think when I was graduating high school, I probably wasn't really thinking about that, but as a transfer student, I definitely was. So want to kind of plant that seed so people know that it's there. Any parents listening might find that really interesting to look at. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, indeed, because it's sometimes even as college students, students will take a course that fascinates them, but then, what do I do if I go into this, if I do a minor or a major or whatever, if I change my major, what am I going to do? It's good to see that, if you're an anthropology major, you can do a lot of things, not just, teach anthropology.
Exactly. So I'm just going to summarize here and then hand it over to Jasmine. Just 3 takeaways. I know that I've talked a lot, but I'm Portuguese, so I can't help it. But we recommend when you come to university, whether it's Fresno State or elsewhere, I know this sounds kind of simple, but I always tell my students at new student orientation that when you're registering for classes, make sure you're taking classes you can pass. Don't always take classes because it's the fastest way. Students get very wrapped up in 4 years, 4 years, 4 years, and then they enroll into, maybe a math that they weren't prepared for or something. So when you're thinking about school, college is the time where you get to choose a lot of your courses. Nobody's giving you super specific instruction. And so just be aware of what your strengths are. If writing is a strength of yours, but, math and science aren't, you probably shouldn't take math and science at the same time because we don't make you do things like that once you're in college. So just things to think about. Also get involved. I know Jasmine's going to chat a little bit about some stuff as well, so I won't go too much more into that, but make sure you do get involved while you're in school, and then always ask for help, whether it's a professional advisor, a faculty advisor, a fellow student. Fresno State is a very friendly, family-oriented campus, so don't ever feel like you're bothering anybody. That's what we're there for. So we hope that you will join us as a bulldog. Again, my contact information, feel free to reach out if other questions, like I said, later on come up. And hopefully that was helpful information. I will hand it over to Jasmine.
Indeed, Jasmine. So tell us a little bit thank you, Ashley. Thank you. It was very enlightening. And we do have a couple of questions. I actually have, I think, 3 or 4 here, a couple from the social media and a couple from the webinar. One of the things, Jasmine, as the academic counselor actually was saying, is how important, and you're almost done here. You don't have that much more to go. I think 1 more semester or 2.
1 more semester,
One
and
more
then I'll
semester.
start the credential program.
Yeah, so you're going to be around a while, another year. But tell us a little bit about some of the things that Ashley was mentioning. How important to you was getting involved? And I know that you, of course, are, as I introduced you, the president of the recently created, the second president of the Fresno State, and you are on the board of the first set of officers as well of the Fresno State Portuguese Club. But how important do you think is it for students to get involved in whatever they might like? Tell us a little bit about how you got involved at Fresno State.
Well, my first semester at Fresno State, I ended up joining this honor society called Sigma Alpha Lambda, and they focus on academics and leadership. So we always had study groups and we'd help each other. We had group chats and we'd do like social events, and we'd go out in the community and we would like fundraise and go help the homeless, and we'd do Relay for Life, and just like with Red Cross, we'd go put up fire alarms. So that was my first involvement on campus, was that club. And then the following semester, I ended up joining the Portuguese Club, which is when it was created, was the second semester. And then I ended up learning about the Writing Center, which was in the Kremen School of Education, and I'd go there for help for writing essays because English isn't one of my strongest points. And while learning about the Writing Center, I ended up also taking notes for students of disability in multiple classes. So then I was also involved with the students of disabilities in the library. And I'd like take notes, color code it, do whatever was needed for those students. And me being outgoing, I always did summer school to get ahead because I decided to add a CFS minor, which is Child and Family Sciences. So I'd have a lot more credits than what I needed. So I started taking classes in the summer to get ahead so I wouldn't have too much of a load in the semester. And then for the Portuguese club, I ended up being the secretary the first year. And then the second year, I became the president, and I'm still the president. And I joined a few other clubs along the way, like the Catholic club on campus. And then I've just been taking a bunch of units. I'm starting to slow down now that I'm at the end of my senior year.
How many units are you taking this semester?
I have 10
10
this
this
semester.
semester. Good. So you're slowing down a little bit. Yeah.
I
And
I took 8 over summer, so
okay. Okay. So that's why you're able to take 10.
yes.
So do you think, one quick question, do you think summer school, if students are able to do it, do you think summer school is one way to kind of, how should I put it, to kind of ease the burden of, 15, 15 units during a semester? So if a person can take, well, you said you took 8, but even if you can take just 3 or 6 units in summer school, is that one way to kind of ease the burden of the next semester, not to have to worry about taking 15 or, 16, like some people are taking?
I feel like it does ease the burden, but also as a liberal studies major, we're very overpopulated. So getting into certain classes is harder, and it's easier to get in during summer session and winter session when no one wants to do it. So that's a big reason why I did it over summer and winter because it doesn't fill up and I'm guaranteed that class.
Good thought. Yeah, very strategic. Indeed. Yeah, that's how you're able to graduate in 4 years. Obviously,
Yes.
you've been very, very strategic. Okay. If there are any questions also for Jasmine, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer a couple of questions as well. So send those in. There's a couple of questions here. Actually, I don't know if you saw them. First of all, is does the Fresno State accept Associate of Arts from an out of school, out of state community college? And if you receive, there's a second question, which would be if you received a bachelor's through an out of state university for education, can that transfer for the credential program? Probably, I would think.
Yeah, those are great questions. So Fresno State does accept, out of state associate's degrees, but keep in mind that the sole purpose of a CSU is to, um, support our local communities, but we do have out of state students. Um, it's different than earning your associates to transfer. So from a California community college to a CSU, they offer a associates to transfer degree, which essentially means that once you've earned that ADT, which is the associate degree to transfer, once you've earned that ADT, when you transfer to your 4-year school, you're kind of guaranteed, pending class availability and your schedule, that you're going to be done in 60 more units. That wouldn't ring true from an out of state school. Okay. So you can have your associates, but not all your classes may come over. Mm-hmm. In regards to the credential program, you can, but keep in mind California has very specific requirements from the California Teaching Commission on what is required to earn a credential. So There are certain like curriculum and instruction classes. I'm sure Jasmine can talk about this. There are certain classes that the California Teaching Commission says, you know, you have to have these to pursue a credential, and then you have to have specific, you know, CBEST, CSET, or some tests that you need to even get into a credential in a credential program in California. So California has typically pretty strict standards when it comes to that, but definitely could. It just might not be as seamless.
Jasmine, you want to add to that? So since you're going to be going into teachings and you're basically going to enter your last semester, so I'm sure you've done some digging around in that field, and your major in your college, as you mentioned, is the College of Education. So tell us a little bit about what you've found so far.
So for the credential program, you do have to have your CBEST, and you have to pass the math, the writing, and the reading comprehension with a certain score to get in. And then you have to have a certain grade point average. And for the credential program, there's different, so you can do a single subject credential, you can do a multi-subject, which is for elementary, or you can do a dual, which is elementary mixed with special education. Instead of taking special education and multi-subject separate, you can do it together as a dual, which is 2 years, which is fast tracking it instead of doing 2 years per each one, which is what I want to do. And then you have to take a certain upper division writing course in order to get into that credential program. And there's you have to take like linguistics, and I think also a literature class in order to get into the credential programs.
Okay, so there are specific classes within the liberal studies that you have to take if you want
Yes.
to get into teaching with it. There's another question, and maybe either Ashley or Jasmine. This came from social media, which is kind of interesting. It's a very interesting question as well, because Ashley was saying that, you know, you're talking about 25,000 students, more or less, and so how large are the classes at Fresno State with 25,000? Are people looking at lecture halls of 150 and 200 students, or are there smaller classes? That are what's the class size at Fresno State? Anyone want to answer that? Jasmine can probably talk some of the classes she took, and actually, I don't know if you have any enlightenment on that as well.
Most of the classes I've taken are about 30 students. I've only actually had like 2 giant lecture classes, and that was bio and natural science. The science classes were only the big lecture classes that I ever had. Most of my classes were small.
Yeah, so there are obviously some lecture classes, you know, 200, 250. Those tend to be in a general ed, general education, like science or math class, the lecture portion of that. But I would say on average, I feel like most classes are capped like 45 students or less. And then obviously depending on major classes, some are even smaller depending on lab equipment that's available, or different resources like that. But for the most part, it's a combination of both. And that is one thing I always point out to incoming freshmen, because when you would walk into class, which now it's virtual, but when we were on campus and you walk into your math class and see 250 people, that can be a little scary. So I always remind them of, you know, tutoring that's available, one-on-one tutoring if you need that, right? Or, okay, the lecture is going to have 250 students, but your lab's only going to be 25. That's where you get that one-on-one hands-on help. So, there's definitely large lectures, but the majority, I would say, are more manageable.
Okay, and that's all the questions that we had from social media and also from the panel here. So, but some very interesting questions indeed. And if Anything else that you might want to add, Jasmine? What would you say to someone, because you've experienced both? You've experienced when you came in, it was a typical university, a large typical university, and now in the last almost year, you've had the transition. This semester is online, and the next semester, last semester, for the latter part of it, and now obviously next semester as well. For students coming in, what would you say to those who might be coming in transferring, that are going to be doing, of course, online, or even in the fall? We have no idea what's going to happen. How has that transition been for you, and what would you tell students that are coming into that kind of a setting?
That transition's been kind of easy, kind of hard at the same time because I miss that hands-on with labs and sciences and interacting with other people and just having study groups that aren't just on Zoom and having like issues on Zoom where it just crashes or you get kicked out because of Wi-Fi issues, which happened yesterday.
It
um,
did, it did, and it happens, unfortunately. And it happens a lot with students more sometimes because of where they're at. And then it happens, when we as because we're always in the same, or at least I am in the same room, the same place. So it's usually not a Wi-Fi issue, or a computer or an internet issue. But students sometimes are not in the same setting, because of work and things like that.
it can become like frustrating when you're trying to finish something but you just keep getting booted off or something's not working and like you miss a class. It can become frustrating and can fall behind, so it's like important to stay on top of your work and your assignments and check like Canvas every day, show up to class, and if you miss a class like communicate why you missed a class or if you're having Wi-Fi issues. That way the teacher can help you catch up. Maybe create like Zoom sessions with your friends so you can study so you don't like fall behind and just help each other out.
Some very good points. Excellent. Any other comments on that as well, Ashley? What have you found speaking to students that with this transition, and how they can, as Jasmine mentioned, look at some of these other possibilities to help you out?
Yeah, definitely. The Learning Center too is offering tutoring through Zoom as well for students. So those resources are still available. I think what I hear from students is a lot of our students have a lot of distractions at home, whether it's their younger siblings doing, their schoolwork at home, or just other things going on. So just finding a quiet place, or a quiet time to, can be a challenge. And also taking care of themselves mentally. This is a challenging time for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Um, and so I think it's important that you need to check in with yourself mentally, because if mentally you're becoming fatigued, then I feel like everything else suffers the consequence of that. And so um, knowing, like I'm here, right? Advisors are here to talk to you. Tutoring's there for help. It's not quite the same. I agree with Jasmine. I miss the like face-to-face and interactions, but we're doing what we need to do to keep everybody safe. And I think we we kind of got thrown into it, and it was kind of sink or swim. So we're adding things every day that hopefully help us and students, and hopefully if we are virtual by fall, we have even more things available.
Indeed. Well, and that's a good way to end it. Thank you very much, Ashley, for taking time. I know that you've been busy with all of the things that are happening, and as students sign up and now look at the possibility of the fall semesters coming upon us. Although it's almost a year away, but I'm sure for you that the fall semester begins the prior fall, right? And
Yep.
so thank you also to Jasmine, the most awesome president of the Fresno State Portuguese Club, for her contributions here. And thanks to all of you who are following us, lots of you on social media. We appreciate that. Thanks for all the nice comments, and not so nice. You can add any kind of comment you'd like. We can take it. And obviously, we hope to have more of these sessions. We are very fortunate to have Ashley at Fresno State, and to have us give us this Portuguese connection. This is wonderful. It's a long time coming. It's probably one of the few colleges that we have someone like Ashley, who is not only a Portuguese background but in tune with her culture and with her heritage, and so can actually help those of you who are of Portuguese background. With some questions, because she too came, as she said, from a small community, uh, a rural community where lots of us live here in the valley, and then thrown into Fresno State with 20 some, now about 25,000 students. So thank you, Ashley, very much, and thanks to FLAD, the Luso American Development Foundation, for being a sponsor of everything that we do at PBBI at Fresno State. We want to have more of these sessions because we really want to reach out to as many students as possible. A quick reminder to all of those that this session will also be available on YouTube after tonight, at the Fresno State PBBI YouTube channel. And we will be furnishing these to the high schools around the area that have asked me for them to also have this information passed on to their students. So you might be getting some emails, Ashley, since you put your email out. Hopefully you will, to answer some questions and help students. We've gotten interest from the schools in Tulare, in Hanford, in Hilmar, in Turlock, in Kerman, in Madera. So hopefully we'll be able to disseminate this information. Again, thank you all very much. Have a nice evening. Thank you, Ashley, especially, and Jasmine. And thanks to all of you who follow us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time in another PBI event, which is, by the way, on the 10th. We have our very first ever book launch. So we're going to be launching a book in a Portuguese novel that was translated to English called Smiling in the Dark. We'll be promoting that. We've promoted a little bit, but we'll be promoting it intensely in the next week or so. So it's here in about a week, and it will be at 5 o'clock. We will have two authors, Portuguese-American authors, who will be talking about this book. Catherine Vaz, who's very well known, and Anthony Barcelos, very well known as well. And we'll also have some other participants. So tune us in on the 10th. We'll have more information about that. And then we have one presentation about Brazil on the 18th, one panel about Portuguese Americans in agriculture from tradition to innovation on the 19th of November. So right back to back. December the 2nd, Women in the Portuguese Monarchy by Dr. Monique Valens, and who is a Valley native and who lives now in Modesto. And also on the 9th, we will have our last event, which is the premiere of the documentary that's being put forth by PBBI with MCJ, Media Communication Journalism Department at Fresno State, and it will be called Untold Stories, the Portuguese Americans Along the 99 Corridor. So lots of different things. Thank you all again very, very much, and take care. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you once again, Ashley and Jasmine, and thanks to
Yeah.
all of you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a
Bye-bye.
good
Good
night.
night. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.